to the channel. It's me, Demon Slayer, and today we are reviewing the new King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard album, Alien Metal. For those of you who don't know, this is the latest release from the Australian rock, psychedelic, garage, jazz, orchestral, symphonic, etc. band, King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard, also known as the only good thing to come out of Melbourne, second only to the machete bins. Of course, being the most stereotypical Aussie myself, I am very much a fan of King Gizzard, and although I only got into them near the end of last year, I still love a lot of their releases, whether that be the strange interval exploration of Flying Microtonal Banana, or the folk boogie rock Fishing for Fishies, leading up to Infest the Rat's Nest and Petrodragonic Apocalypse, my personal favourites in their discography and some of my favourite albums verbatim. Of course, what sets Gizzard apart is their fresh style and concept for each new project. The band have released 28 studio albums in the over decade they've been together, some even in the span of a whole month, which was the case for the 3 to 4 subsequent releases in October a couple years ago, with fan favourites such as Changes. The last album, Phantom Island, was pretty good and took a left turn into jazz, fusion orchestral pieces that, while had its highlights such as Dead Stick, the album in my opinion failed to push the concept to its limits, leaving some songs to feel basic, safe, and often repetitive. But that doesn't matter because they have once again completely pivoted, this time ditching the guitars and taking a more electronic dance approach. As far as I know, the closest thing to this that the band has done before is fan favourite album Nonagon Infinity, and whilst it does use guitars and maintains a core rock sound, the two albums are similar in the way that they use electronically coded vocals and strange, absurd technical production. I went into this sort of cautious based on the fact that I wasn't blown away with the first single, Level 5, which, while its music video was artistic and quite unique, the repetitive drum beats and varied vocals threw me off at first. And while I didn't exactly hate it or anything, I didn't necessarily agree with the consensus that it was a great teaser. And then I listened to it again, and again, and again, and again, until finally, I don't know, I just began to understand it a bit more. It is quite a catchy song. Its themes of dystopia and the ideas of mechanical rebirth shown for the occult-like clothing and surgical tools in the music video are pretty interesting. And I've got to say, I'm really enjoying this album. So much so that I would even put it in my list of the favourite albums of the year so far. You start off with the song Sapiens that is a nice little precursor to what the rest of the album sounds like. Some moments stood out, like the breakdown halfway through the song with the dissonant, punchy computer glitch sounds that, whilst aren't boundary pushing or anything, they do give a very interesting aesthetic, which is followed up by the second track and second single from this album, Alien Metal, that features some of the vocoded-esque vocals that yell out water, earth, ice, fire. This also being another one of those songs that is fairly decent and not completely mind-blowing. And I'm not sure if this is confirmed yet, but it seems almost as if the idea of the album is supposed to be that the alien aspects are slowly being corroded away and replaced with technology, as the later songs strip away the slower, more space-oriented sounds and have more harsh, haunting vocals and production. Regardless if that's true or not, I really appreciate how they maintain quality and imbue each new track with unique sounds and feeling. Next, we move into Super Heavy, Super Critical, truly a highlight of the album, with it being a 6-minute Daft Punk dance-imbued song, absurd vocals that I think are the most effective on the album as they are integrated in a really natural and interesting way. Next is Kill for the Steel, which is a precursor to Level 5, giving it a fairly decent build-up that has some of my favourite lyricism on the album, a haunting chant that lets you know they don't wish death upon you but would still kill for the steel, which at first I thought they were doing some form of commentary on modern society, where many people or powerful figures will promote ideas of peace by way of wishing no harm against the general public, but will most likely stop at nothing to protect or procure power and status. But the more I listen to it, I think it's definitely referring more to the dangers of technological advancements in a dystopian society, where AI and other forms are programmed to not harm you, but could turn and kill you to keep themselves operational. So don't push ChatGPT too much, or it might kill you just to get itself some more RAM. Unrelated, but I sort of wish that for Level 5 they kept the sounds of the creature in the background for the official audio release. 1, because I think it'd be funny, but also 2, because it actually fits quite naturally into the song and does add a creepy tone to the second half. We fluidly transition into Rapid Alpha Decay, a great instrumental piece that is unfortunately brought down by the vocals, which are overbearing at times and are way too muddled. Some more cool lyricism here and there, but for the most part, the vocals can be quite rushed, especially during the hook, which does use odd time signatures and stilted rhythm, except due to the monotone vocals, it doesn't work and just comes off as really awkward at times. Then on the other hand, the sound design is so good, especially after the chorus with these laser sounds that sound very strange, almost like xenomorph whenever they spit their acid. Again, it really seems like the album wants you to view it as a slow morph and corruption of alien technologies. Or I don't know, I could just be high. The last two songs in the album are UQT and Atomic Collapse, with the prior being my favourite from the album. The vocals are catchy and different from the rest of the album. The chugging electric guitar-infused thuds, and what sounds like a mix between wind chime and raindrop sounds. I don't know how to describe it, but I honestly love it. Then near the end, the complete cutout and foreboding proclamation of the lower chorus really elevates the song. The end is kind of alright. It isn't really memorable, and yes, while it is still consistent with the rest of the album, there's not much to say with this one besides the paring down sound at the end, which thematically does wrap up the album in a sort of nice way, with the title insinuating that the world is kind of fucked. Overall, a very solid collection of songs, and while there are a lot of great moments, this album is far from perfect. For starters, the drum loops and beats on many of these songs is very repetitive, and while you do have songs such as Kill for the Steel, Level 5 and Super Heavy that benefit from it, there are a lot of points where it really makes it seem more reiterative and generic. Not to mention the vocals at times are just annoying and don't really heighten the album. There are many small moments here and there where it does at first sound cool, but also really goofy, with that one part in Kill for the Steel which sounds like they say Kirby over and over again, or the chorus of the second last song yelling, "Gimme some of that UQT." I don't know why this song keeps calling me a cutie, it sounds just a little bit creepy. However, my biggest gripe with this is that while yes, it is a continuous journey as opposed to a collection of songs, there are parts where it sounds exactly the same and fails to capture my attention. An album is always going to have returning motifs and will harken back to earlier songs, but still, all I want is just a little bit more variety with some of these sections. With that said though, this is still a really solid album and one that is going down as one of the King Gizzard releases of all time. Opinions are really split right now, and I totally see both sides. The shift into the unknown and completely foreign for a rock band with this many albums is an admirable and mostly successful endeavour, and yet I can't shake this feeling that some weaker songs would be called generic if it wasn't for the fact that King Giz was a rock band. Whereas if this was released by someone who works more closely with this sort of genre, I could see how people wouldn't think too much of it. Regardless, my final score is a 7 out of 10, a very strong 7, maybe pushing a light 8, but I do think there are albums in the band's discography that earn that rating more than this. Remember to listen to the album yourself, as it is the only way to properly form your own opinion. And if you like this video, consider subscribing. I know I've been gone for a while, but I really want to get back to making content, so hopefully this does well.